Great. सत्यम शौचम दया क्षांति त्याग संतोष आर्जवम क्षमो दमस्तपस्साम्यम तितिक्षोपरतिश्रुतम ज्ञानम विरक्तिरैश्वर्यम शौर्यम तेजो बलम स्मृति स्वातंत्र्यम कौशलम कांतिर धैर्यम मार्दवमेव च प्रागल्भ्यम प्रशयशीलम सह ओजो बलम भग गांभीर्यम स्थैर्यमास्तिक्यम कीर्तिर्मानो नहं कृतिः एते चान्ये च भगवन् नित्या यत्र महागुणा प्रार्थ्या महत्वमिच्छद्भिर न वियन्ति स्म कर्हिचित्. In him reside truthfulness, cleanliness, intolerance of others, and happiness, the power to control anger, self-satisfaction, straightforwardness, steadiness of mind, control of the sense organs, responsibility, equality, tolerance, equanimity, faithfulness, knowledge, absence of sense enjoyment, leadership, chivalry, influence, the power to make everything possible, the discharge of proper duty, complete independence, dexterity, fullness of all beauty, serenity, kind-heartedness, ingenuity, gentility, magnanimity, determination, perfection in all knowledge, proper execution, possession of all objects of enjoyment, joyfulness, immovability, fidelity, fame, being worshipable, pridelessness, being the personality of God at eternity, and many other transcendental qualities which are eternally present and never to be separated from Him. That personality of Godhead, the reservoir of all goodness and beauty, Lord Shri Krishna has now closed his transcendental pastimes on the face of the earth. In his absence, the age of Kali has spread its influence everywhere, so I'm sorry to see this condition of existence. Something is wrong. तेनाहं गुणपात्रेण श्रीनिवासेन साम्प्रतं शोचामि रहितं लोकं आत्मना कलिनेक्षितम्. त्याग, there is त्याग. त्याग. Mithyaabhimana, not having false, egoistic self-conception. Saubhagyam. Saubhagyam. We have a different reading. Suvaita Bhagi Suphago Durbhagas Tadipariyati Gita. One who is exclusively auspicious. Satyam Yathartha Bhashana. This is all that. Truthfulness. It always starts with truthfulness. Ete Ekona Chatvarimshat. 39 qualities. Anyecha, these are 39 qualities. Anyecha Brahmanya Sharanyatwadayo Mahanto Gunaha Yasmin Nityaha Sahajaha Na Viyanti Na Kshiyante Sma. Then there are other qualities such as Brahmanya, promoting Brahmanical culture. Sharanya, being an object of, a worthy object of surrender, and so on. These are great qualities. And these qualities are eternally present in him, and they're never reduced or become nil in him. Chilajiva Goswami has analyzed these qualities and brought out sub-qualities, qualities within them. We will go through Prabhupada's elaborate explanation of this. In others, they are found in meager quantity, and they are also found on a temporary basis. Tatreva purnatvam ahavinashwaratvam cha uttam. But in the Supreme Lord alone, they are found in full, and they are permanently found on a non-temporary basis. This was already referred to in 1.11.26. He's enlisting other features, other eternal features. So totally this is how it comes to 64 qualities. Goswami also says there are qualities beyond the 64. The Vishnu Chakravarti Thakur has made an interesting observation. Tesham nityatve sati yan prati bhashanadikam tesham tad vasa sthananam api nityatvam upannam. It is appropriate that because the Supreme Lord has all these qualities on an eternal basis, including the time when a Mahapralaya happens, these are found in Sri Krishna. Then the place where, if the qualities are, then the possessor of those qualities is also eternal in his various forms. His pastimes are eternal. His pastime associates are eternal. His abodes are eternal. His assistants, all of them are eternal. Swanabandhitva, Raveriva Ushnyadayaha. Just like the sun has heat, intrinsic. So like that, these are all qualities which are intrinsic to Lord Sri Krishna. Even if it were possible to count the atoms after smashing the earth into powder, still it would not be possible to estimate the unfathomable transcendental qualities of the Lord. This is from 10th canto, Lord Brahma's prayers. It is said that Lord Anantadev has tried to expound the transcendental qualities of the Supreme Lord with his numberless tongues, and that for numberless years together, it has been impossible to estimate the qualities of the Lord. And this is from 3rd canto. First half of Bhagavatam. Don't remember if it's 3rd canto or 5th canto. The above statement of the qualities of the Lord is just to estimate his qualities as far as a human being is able to see them in him. But even if it is so, the above qualities can be divided into many subheadings. According to Srila Jiva Goswami, the 3rd quality, intolerance of others and happiness, can be subdivided into protection of the surrendered souls and good wishes for the devotees. In the Bhagavad Gita, the Lord states that he wants every soul to surrender to him only, and he assures everyone that if one does so, he will give protection from the reactions of all sins. Unsurrendered souls are not devotees of the Lord, and thus there is no particular protection for everyone in general. For the devotees, he has all good wishes. And for those who are actually engaged in loving transcendental service of the Lord, he gives particular attention. He gives direction to such pure devotees to help them discharge their responsibilities on the path back to Godhead. Equality indicates that the Lord is equally kind to everyone, as the sun is equal in distributing its rays over everyone. Yet there are many who are unable to take advantage of the sun's rays. Similarly, the Lord says that surrendering unto him is the guarantee for all protection from him. But unfortunate persons are unable to accept this proposition, and therefore they suffer from all material miseries. So even though the Lord is equally well-wishing to everyone, the unfortunate living being, due to bad association only, is unable to accept his instructions in toto, completely. And for this, the Lord is never to be blamed. He is called the well-wisher for the devotees only. He appears to be partial to his devotees, but factually the matter rests on the living being to accept or reject equal treatment by the Lord. So it is a point that Prabhupada emphasizes. We are determining our fate. Or as Bhakti-vaibhava Thakur says, Purusha Cheshta Adrishta Janani. A man's endeavor is the mother of his good fortune. Steadiness of mind can be expanded to also mean that the Lord never deviates from his word of honor. When he gives assurance for protection, the promise is executed in all circumstances. It is the duty of the pure devotee to be fixed in the discharge of the duty entrusted to him by the Lord or the Lord's bona fide representative, the spiritual master. The rest is carried out by the Lord without a break. The responsibility of the Lord is also unique. The Lord has no responsibility because all his work is done by his different appointed energies. But still, he accepts voluntary responsibilities in displaying different roles in his transcendental pastimes. As a boy, he was playing the part of a cowherd boy. As a son of Nanda Maharaj, he discharged the responsibility perfectly. Similarly, when he was playing the part of a Kshatriya, as a son of Maharaj Vasudeva, he displayed all the skill of a martially spirited Kshatriya. In almost all cases, the Kshatriya king has to secure a wife by fighting or kidnapping. This sort of behavior for a Kshatriya is praiseworthy in the sense that a Kshatriya must show his power of chivalry to his would-be wife, so that the daughter of a Kshatriya can see the valor of her would-be husband. Kshatriyas would kidnap Kshatriya girls, not that they would go and kidnap some Vaishya girl or some beautiful Shudra girl. Kshatriya, Savarna. So the Supreme Lord, he also did this. Even the personality of Goddess Shri Rama displayed such a spirit of chivalry during his marriage. He broke the strongest bow called Haradhanu, Lord Shiva's bow, and achieved the hand of Sita Devi, the mother of all opulence. The Kshatriya spirit is displayed during marriage festivals, and there's nothing wrong in such fighting. Lord Sri Krishna discharged such responsibility fully, because although he had more than 16,000 wives, in each and every case he fought like a chivalrous Kshatriya and thus secured a wife. So either he fought or he impressed upon, there were some of these queens, he did not personally fight, but they were desirous of being married to him because he was fighting and securing queens. To fight 16,000 times to secure 16,000 wives is certainly possible only for the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Similarly, he displayed full responsibility in every action of his different transcendental pastimes. The 14th quality, knowledge, can be further extended into 5 subheadings, namely intelligence, gratefulness, power of understanding the circumstantial environments of place, object, and time, perfect knowledge of everything, and knowledge of the self. There is something in the chat box. What is the standard process of marriage for Kali Yuga? First of all, I don't know if there are 8 kinds of marriages, but I have not done a study on anything like whether some of these are allowed in particular ages or not, because Ahara, Nidra, Bhayamaitana, they are common to all living creatures. And marriage is a more advanced form of mating, where you take up the natural roles of a male and female couple. So the man becomes a bharta and the woman becomes a bharya. Bharta means one who takes responsibility, and bharya, one who agrees to be taken care of. That is Vedic dharma. But exactly how one marries, there are of 8 different types. So as far as I know, but no, I don't know much on this because I did not enter into all this different types of marriages and all these samskaras. I did not enter into a whole study of it. But the way Prabhupada dealt with it, he did not, whatever it is, he said that you're married for life. You're married for life. That's all. There's marriage in Krishna consciousness, there's no divorce in Krishna consciousness. Very painful for the modern populace to hear it, but it can be done. It can be done. It is said, birth experience, no. It is said that marriage experience is in one's own horoscope. It is, we earn it. So whoever one marries, that's the experience he's supposed to get, means that's what he'll get. So no need to. Generally, I tell people just stick to whatever it is. Stick to it. That's all. Because after 10 years after marriage and all, everybody will say, no, but it's like this, it's difficult, it's painful, she doesn't like me, and she will say that he doesn't like me, this is all this, We are supposed to love God. When Prabhupada was asked, what is this in Vedic Dharma? Some unknown strangers are brought together in marriage. What about love? Prabhupada's answer was very typical of him. Love is for Krishna. So this is all commitment-based marital arrangements. It is not attraction-based or emotion-based marital arrangement. That much is clear from Prabhupada's own explanation. In general, we notice that Prabhupada did not disturb the very ordinary social customs as long as they did not contradict progressive implementation of Krishna consciousness. Like for eating, Prabhupada specified the ingredients and left it like that. He did not insist with all the devotees in outside India that you must eat like this. This is the food you eat. If you don't eat this food, you're in Maya, Mahamaya. He didn't speak all this. He just left it. So there are certain things Prabhupada didn't bother about. In the West, at one time, when of course the West of that time is the East of this time also. So at that time, when they were marrying, divorcing, and all that, Prabhupada just left the whole matter. He said that I'm not going to be involved in fixing marriages also. He made some special arrangements for them, not in India. Prabhupada actually expected and instructed also that whatever little bit of dharma that is followed in India should be preserved. And we ourselves should follow it more and more. Very, very important. This is all basic infrastructure. The more we screw up these things, the more difficult it is to practice Krishna consciousness. Achyutanam Prabhu.
Prabhu, in this section, it was written to fight 16,000 times to secure 16,000 wives. But actually, did Lord fought for 16,000 times? Like in one shot only, he gained all of them.
Was it a simple fight between one individual and another individual? How many people he had to kill to secure those 16,000 girls?
The demon and his army.
So that is what is referred to here. Okay, anyway, let's move on. I don't want to get into all this. There's a reason why Krishna does these kind of things, is to, like Prabhupada explains, the three girl needs to be convinced that the man is going to take care. Today's misery is because the varnas are not stratified. Because the varnas are not identified and stratified, it becomes a problem. If there is proper stratification. In Vedic culture, actually, you're living under different layers. So if I am in this life, if I'm a Vaishya, then I belong to the Vaishya layer of society. So there's a different set of values for them. So their weddings are conducted differently. Their values are different, first of all. So everybody is kept in his own comfort zone. For Kshatriyas, it is very normal to fight, quarrel, kill. But it is not. That is not the case for Vaishyas or Shudras, and certainly not for Brahmanas. And those who are becoming spiritual, and that too, those who want to become fully spiritually realized in one lifetime, they are expected to accept the Brahmanical restrictions more and more and more. Because within one lifetime, I have to become a sannyasi by guna karma. That means I have to progress through the varna, I have to progress through the ashrama. So this involves a lot of dedication. So in the Brahmanical layer, they don't. There's no romantic marriage and all that amongst Brahmanas. Brahmana cannot choose his spouse. Not that Brahmanas are not pure devotees of the Lord. That is known. Brahmanas typically marry also. That is also known. But they live a life of voluntary poverty, which itself is highly disgusting to today's world. But that is what it is. You want to go back to God in one lifetime and all that. You want to attain sadhana siddhi and bhakti yoga in one lifetime. To pay, no pain, no gain. So it's a different way of thinking. All right, let's move on. The 14th quality, knowledge, can be further extended into 5 subheadings, namely intelligence, gratefulness, power of understanding the circumstantial environments of place, object, and time, perfect knowledge of everything, and knowledge of the self. Only fools are ungrateful to their benefactors. The Lord, however, does not require benefit from anyone besides himself because he is full in himself. Still, he feels benefited by the unalloyed services of his devotees. The Lord feels grateful to his devotees for such unsophisticated, unconditional service and tries to reciprocate it by rendering service to them, although the devotees have no such desire in their hearts. So these are all pure devotees of the Lord, who do not have any desire to get anything from the Lord. Rendering transcendental service to the Lord is itself a transcendental benefit for the devotee, and therefore the devotee has nothing to expect from the Lord. On the assertion of the Vedic aphorism, Sarvam Khalvidam Brahma, we can understand that the Lord, by the omnipresent rays of his effulgence called Brahmajyoti, is all pervading inside and outside of everything, like the omnipresent material sky, and thus he is also omniscient, all knowing. As far as the beauty of the Lord is concerned, he has some special features that distinguish him from all other living beings. And over and above that, he has some special attractive, beautiful features by which he attracts the mind of even Radharani, the super most beautiful creation of the Lord. He is known therefore as Madana Mohana, or one who attracts the mind of even Cupid. Jiva Goswami Prabhu has scrutinizingly analyzed other transcendental qualities of the Lord and affirms that Lord Sri Krishna is the absolute supreme personality of God, as Parabrahma. He is omnipotent by his inconceivable energies, and therefore he is the Yogeshwara, or the supreme master of all mystic powers. Because he is the Yogeshwara, his eternal form is spiritual, a combination of eternity, bliss, and knowledge. The non-devotee class cannot understand the dynamic nature of his knowledge because they are satisfied to reach up to his eternal form of knowledge, which is attainment of what we call Brahman realization, impersonal realization. All great souls aspire to be equal in knowledge with him. This means that all other knowledge is ever insufficient, flexible, and measurable, whereas the knowledge of the Lord is ever fixed and unfathomable. Srila Goswami affirms in the Bhagavatam that although he was observed by the citizens of Dwaraka every day, they were ever increasingly anxious to see him again and again. The living beings can appreciate the qualities of the Lord as the ultimate goal, but they cannot attain the status quo of such equality. In other words, we cannot, even though we say that we are qualitatively one with the Lord, we are qualitatively one with the Lord to a limited extent. We don't have, literally speaking, we don't have all the prime qualities of the Lord. There are 64 prime qualities of the Lord. And out of those 64 also, the maximum a completely liberated Jivatma can possess is droplets of the first 50 out of them. Bindu Bindu Daya. Only that much. But they are found in Krishna in an oceanic form, unlimited. This material world is a product of the Mahatattva, which is a state of the Lord's dreaming condition in his Yoganidra, mystic slumber in the causal ocean, and yet the whole creation appears to be a factual presentation. This means that the Lord's dreaming conditions are also factual manifestations. He can therefore bring everything under his transcendental control, and thus whenever and wherever he does appear, he does so in his fullness. The Lord being all that is described above, he alone can maintain the affairs of the creation, and he does so. And by his doing so, he gives salvation even to his enemies who are killed by him. He is attractive even to the topmost liberated souls, and thus he is worshipable even by Brahma and Shiva, the greatest of all demigods. Even in his incarnation of Purushavatar, he is the Lord of the creative energy. The creative material energy is working under his direction, as confirmed in the Bhagavad Gita 9.10. He is the control switch of the material energy, and to control the material energy in the innumerable universes, he is the root cause of innumerable incarnations in all the universes. There are more than 500,000 incarnations of Manu. Incarnation of Manu refers to Manvantara incarnation. Only one universe, besides other incarnations, and thus we can simply imagine the number of its incarnations in all the universes. In the spiritual world, however, beyond the Mahatattva, there is no question of incarnation. Incarnation, avatara means one who descends from the spiritual platform to the material platform. That is called avatar. Avatarati iti avataraha. But there are plenary expansions of the Lord in the different Vaikunthas. The planets in the spiritual sky are at least 3 times the number of those within the innumerable universes in the Mahatattva. All the Narayana forms of the Lord are but expansions of his Vasudeva feature. And thus he is Vasudeva, Narayana, and Krishna simultaneously. He is Sri Krishna Govinda Hare Murare, He Natha Narayana Vasudeva, all in one. His qualities, therefore, cannot be counted by anyone, however great one may be. Derived from, the 64 items. That is derived from this list only. There is a mention. Where is that mention? This is Rupa Goswami. After consulting various scriptures, has enumerated the transcendental qualities of the Lord as follows. Beautiful features of the entire body, marked with all auspicious characteristics, extremely pleasing, effulgent, strong, ever youthful, wonderful linguist, truthful, talks pleasingly, fluent, highly learned, highly intelligent, a genius, artistic, extremely clever, expert, grateful, firmly determined, an expert judge of time and circumstances, sees and speaks on the authority of Vedas or scriptures, pure, self-controlled, steadfast, forbearing, forgiving, brave, self-satisfied, possessing equilibrium, magnanimous, religious, heroic, compassionate, respectful, gentle, liberal, shy, the protector of surrendered souls, happy, the well-wisher of devotees, controlled by love, all auspicious, most powerful, all famous, popular, partial to devotees, very attractive to all women, all worshipable, all opulent, all honorable, the Supreme Controller. The Supreme Personality of Godhead has all these 50 transcendental qualities in fullness as deep as the ocean. In other words, the extent of his qualities is inconceivable. As parts and parcels of the Supreme Lord, the individual living entities can also possess all of these qualities in minute quantities, provided they become pure devotees of the Lord. In other words, all of the above transcendental qualities can be present in the devotees in minute quantity, whereas the qualities in fullness are always present in the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Besides these, there are other transcendental qualities which are described by Lord Shiva to Parvati in the Padma Purana. In my channel, I already set out that list from Padma Purana. And it begins with Kandharpa Koti Lavanya. And in the first canto of Srimad Bhagavatam, in connection with a conversation between the deity of the earth and the king of religion, Yamaraj, which is the current position in our study of Bhagavatam. It is said therein, persons who are desirous of becoming great personalities must be decorated with the following qualities: truthfulness, cleanliness, mercy, perseverance, renunciation, peacefulness, simplicity, control of the senses, equilibrium of the mind, austerity, equality, forbearance, placidity, learning, knowledge, detachment, opulence, chivalry, influence, strength, memory, independence, tactfulness, luster, patience, kindheartedness, ingenuity, gentility, mannerliness, determination, perfection in all knowledge, proper execution, possession of all objects of knowledge, gravity, steadiness, faithfulness, fame, respectfulness, and lack of false egotism. Persons who are desiring to become great souls cannot be without any of the above qualities. So we can know for certain that these qualities are found in Lord Krishna, the Supreme Soul. Besides all of the above mentioned 50 qualities, Lord Krishna possesses 5 more, which are sometimes partially manifested in the persons of Lord Brahma or Lord Shiva. These transcendental qualities are as follows: changeless, all cognizant, ever fresh, Sachidananda, possessing an eternal blissful body, possessing all mystic perfections. Krishna also possesses 5 other qualities which are manifest in the body of Narayana and are listed as follows. He has inconceivable potency, uncountable universes generate from his body. He is the original source of all incarnation. He is the giver of salvation to the enemies whom he kills. He is the attractor of liberated souls. All these transcendental qualities are manifest wonderfully in the personal feature of Lord Krishna. Besides these 60 transcendental qualities, Krishna has 4 more, which are not manifest even in the Narayana form of Godhead. What to speak of the demigods or living entities? They are as follows. He is a performer of wonderful varieties of pastimes, especially his childhood pastimes. He is surrounded by devotees endowed with wonderful love of Godhead. He can attract all living entities all over the universes by playing on his flute. He has a wonderful excellence of beauty which cannot be rivaled anywhere in the creation. Adding to the list these 4 exceptional qualities of Krishna, it is understood that the aggregate number of qualities of Krishna is 64. Srila Rupa Goswami has attempted to give evidences from various scriptures for all 64 qualities present in the person of the Supreme Lord, Swayam Bhagavan Krishna. Something in the chat box. Shri Krishna Govinda Hare Murare Enath Narayana. What is that? Enath Narayana Vasudeva. Because there's one bhajan on this, devotee say it is not authorized. The Prabhupada said that it was made into a filmy song. And therefore he did not encourage singing filmy songs, even filmy devotional songs. 31. Atmanam chami shochami bhavantam chamaroptamam. Devan pitrim rishin sadhun sarvan varnams tathashraman. I'm thinking about myself also. I'm thinking about myself and also best amongst the demigods, about you as well as about all the demigods, sages, denizens of Pitraloka, devotees of the Lord, and all men obedient to the system of Varna and Ashrama and human society. So Prithvi Devi was worried about all of these persons because all of them are going to experience the disadvantages due to the absence of Lord Sri Krishna, personal absence. To affect the perception perfection of human life. There is cooperation between men and demigods, sages, denizens of the Pitraloka, devotees of the Lord, and the scientific system of Varna and Ashrama orders of life. The distinction between human life and animal life therefore begins with the scientific system of Varna and Ashrama, guided by the experience of the sages and in relation with the demigods, gradually rising to the summit of re-establishing our eternal relation with the Supreme Absolute Truth, the personality of Godhead, of Sri Krishna. So the idea is from karma, the platform of karma, one progresses to the platform of jnana, and then bhakti. A more detailed presentation is from the platform of karma, one moves to the, okay. From aniti, one moves to niti, then Seshwara niti, and then karma, then jnana, then yoga, and bhakti. Something I thought I saw in the chat box. There are some kirtans on Hare Krishna Mahamantra on filmy songs tune. Can't we sing them like that? Does it not come under utilities to principle? But Prabhupada has already taught various interesting tunes. We already have our own tunes. No? There are some devotees who are interested in the tunes that are taught by Narottam, that were propagated by Narottam Das Thakur. There is something called Sangeeta Shastra, science of music. And those who study Sangeeta Shastra, they point out that different tunes produce different effects in the mind. So in general, we should avoid anything which reminds us of material life. When God made Varnashrama Dharma, which is strictly meant for developing animal consciousness into human consciousness and human consciousness into godly consciousness, is broken by advancement of foolishness. The whole system of peaceful and progressive life is at once disturbed. This is the reason why Prabhupada wanted, he said the second half of his mission was to introduce the rules and regulations of the Varnashrama system into ISKCON, which means that the men should start following Samanya Dharma, common duties, accept one of the Varnas, follow the rules and regulations for those Varnas, follow Ashrama Dharma, and in that way, progress. Progresses, then naturally one will be upgraded, and as he upgrades, he has to follow the rules of the current status of upgrade. Just like if I put a child in school, there are different degrees of freedom that a child has in school. In the lower grades, lower standards, the children will be given a lot of freedom. But as the child matures and moves higher and higher and higher, he or she is expected to be more self-controlled. The same way, all of this is there. For women, they are expected to follow Samanya Dharma, the common duties, and Stri Dharma. If we want internal spiritual realization, we have to refuse to accept the external changes in society, which disturb that progress towards internal spiritual realization. In the age of Kali, the first attack of the venomous snake strikes against the God-made Varnashrama Dharma, and thus a person properly qualified as a Brahmana is called a Shudra, and a Shudra by qualification is passing as a Brahmana, all on a false birthright claim. To become a Brahmana by birthright claim is not at all bona fide, although it may be a fulfillment of one of the conditions. But the real qualification of a Brahmana is to control the mind and the senses, and to cultivate tolerance, simplicity, cleanliness, knowledge, truthfulness, devotion, and faith in the Vedic wisdom. In the present age, consideration of the necessary qualification is being neglected, and the false birthright claim is being supported even by a popular, sophisticated poet, the author of Ramcharitmanas. So therefore, Prabhupada says Ramcharitmanas is not fully bona fide. Those who are interested in Shuddha Krishna Bhakti, they don't accept it. There's a lot of uproar about this. But this is reality. This is reality. Tomorrow.
So this might not be the only reason to avoid Ramcharitmanas, because just like we're telling in Madhava line also, that followers of Udupi Mutt, they also uh, claim same thing, that
They are not the
really,
only ones. Practically whole of India claims that, and therefore we don't follow them.
yeah.
Don't follow them. We follow Madhvacharya. Madhvacharya clearly says the varnas are determined by qualities. Clear about it. Myself, I've seen exactly. Himself, he says a Shudra with the qualities of a Brahmana should be recognized as a Brahmana. A Brahmana with the qualities of a Shudra should be recognized as a Shudra. There are several other. There is something called Ishvara Sayujya. You want to merge into Lord Ram's body. There are also considerations which are unacceptable to followers of Srimad Bhagavatam. Like Lord Shiva is the same as Lord Vishnu. And attainment of Lord Shiva and attainment of Lord Vishnu is the same. Also, impersonal liberation and personal liberation are on the same status and so on. These are all unacceptable to those who follow Srimad Bhagavatam. This is all due to the influence of the age of Kali. Thus, Mother Earth, represented as a cow, was lamenting their regrettable condition. 32 and 33. Brahmadayo bahutitam yad tapanga moksha kama tapas samacharan bhagavat prapanna. Sashri swavasam aravinda vanam vihaya yat pada saubhagam alam bhajate nurakta. Tasyahamabja kulishankushakeshu ketu ketai Srimad Paday Bhagavata Samalankritangi Trinatya Rochata Upalabhya Tato Vibhutin Lokan Samam Yasrajad Utsmayatin Tadante. This canto's got so beautiful verses. Many times I think that I should only study and teach first canto. Canto itself is so nice, means second canto would be something more. Third canto would be more. Lakshmi Ji, the goddess of fortune, whose glance of grace was sought by demigods like Brahma, and for whom they surrendered many a day unto the personality of Godhead, gave up her own abode in the forest of lotus flowers and engaged herself in the service of the lotus feet of the Lord. I was endowed with specific powers to supersede the fortune of all the three planetary systems by being decorated with the impressions of the flag, thunderbolt, elephant driving a rod, and lotus flower, which are signs of the lotus feet of the Lord. But at the end, when I felt I was so fortunate, the Lord left me. Tasya viraha dussaha ityaha chaturvihi. Then in 4 verses, beginning with text 33, the Devi says that it is impossible for me to tolerate his absence. The idea is that even Lakshmi Devi is worshipping him and is attracted to him. So what to speak of me? The beauty and opulence of the world can be enhanced by the grace of the Lord and not by any man-made planning. When the Lord Shri Krishna was present on this earth, the impressions of the special signs of his lotus feet were stamped on the dust. And as a result of this specific grace, the whole earth was made as perfect as possible. In other words, the rivers, the seas, the forests, the hills, and the mines, which are the supplying agents for the necessities of men and animals, were fully discharging their respective duties. Therefore, the riches of the world surpassed all the riches of all other planets in the 3 planetary systems of the universe. This is a very interesting point that is repeatedly brought out. That natural wealth is more important than artificial wealth. Natural wealth refer to prosperity due to nature herself. One should therefore ask that the grace of the Lord always be present on earth so that we may be favored with his causeless mercy and be happy, having all necessities of life in abundance. One may ask how we can detain the Supreme Lord on this earth after his mission is fulfilled and he has left this earth for his own abode. The answer is that there is no need to detain the Lord. The Lord, being omnipresent, can be present with us if we want him at all. By his omnipresence, he can always be with us if we are attached to his devotional service by hearing, chanting, remembering, etc. There is nothing in the world from which the Lord is disconnected. The only thing we must learn is to excavate the source of connection and thus be linked with him by offenseless service. We can be connected with him by the transcendental sound representation of the Lord. The holy name of the Lord and the Lord himself are identical. And one who chants the holy name of the Lord in an offenseless manner can at once realize that the Lord is present before him. Even by the vibration of radio sound, we can partially realize the presence of what is related to the sound. And by resounding that sound, and by resounding the sound of transcendence, we can verily feel the presence of the Lord. In this age, when everything is polluted by the contamination of Kali, it is instructed in the scriptures and preached by Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu that by chanting the holy name of the Lord, we can at once be free from contamination, gradually rising to the state of transcendence and going back home back to God. The offenseless chanters of the holy name of the Lord are as auspicious as the Lord himself, and the movement of such pure devotees of the Lord all over the world can at once change the troublesome face of the world. There is a very important book called Sri Harinam Chintamani by Bhakti-vaibhava Thakur about the science of offenseless chanting. Only by the propagation of the chanting of the holy name of the Lord can we be immune from all effects of the age of Kali. Okay, what is this? For deciding on quality, varna of devotees, is there any guide for that? Sometimes we find difficulty in devotees for what service they are suitable. Why should that be so difficult? We observe the devotees, see their talents, tastes, we see what they are capable of doing nicely. And then accordingly, we give them services which are related to it. It takes some time. It takes some time for that is why even in the Varna system, ashrama system, to be more clear, the higher three Varnas, those are capable of. Okay, let me put it like this. There's another way of stating it. One who can only be a grihastha cannot join the ashram and be a brahmachari. Has the nature of a Shudra. Shudras are given only grihastha ashrama. One who can be a brahmachari in an ashrama and later become a householder. Of course, I'm talking of dharmic Shudra, dharmic Vaishya and so on. He can be accepted as a Vaishya, minimum. One who can accept bona fide brahmacharya, bona fide garhastya, and also become a vanaprastha, joint vanaprastha or separated vanaprastha, can be accepted at least as a kshatriya. And one who can accept bona fide brahmacharya, bona fide garhastya, bona fide vanaprastha, and bona fide sannyas, he can be accepted as a brahmana. That's another way. But anyway, the qualities take some time to understand. Take some time to understand. Typically, I say that after you take to Krishna consciousness fully, give 1 or 2 decades, and then it becomes clear to you yourself what varna you belong to. But for those who are born to practicing devotees in good standing, if the parents are practicing devotees in good standing, the children are born, and the children don't reject the teachings of the parents, then their varna is generally the varna of the father. Okay. 34. Yo vai mamati bharam masura vamsha ragyam akshauhini shatamapan udadatma tantra Tvam dustham moona padam atmani paurashena sampadayan yatusharamyam abhibhradangam. A personality of religion. I was greatly overburdened by the undue military phalanxes arranged by atheistic kings, and I was relieved by the grace of the personality of God. Similarly, you were also in a distressed condition, weakened in your standing strength, and thus he also incarnated by his internal energy in the family of the others to relieve you. This military phalanx refers to Akshauhini, which is one military division, and Prabhupada has given a footnote on what that military phalanx is. An Akshauhini phalanx consists of 21,870 chariots, 21,870 elephants, 109,350 infantrymen, and 65,610 horses. Right? This is in the previous verse. Previous verse. But at the end, when I felt I was so fortunate, when I was feeling proud at the end, he gave me a Matulyo Vaikuntopi na bhavati iti antar gavavati. And I was internally thinking that even Vaikuntha in the spiritual world is not as good as me. When Mother Earth was thinking like that, then the Lord left. Left means Vihaya Antaratha, he disappeared. Purve ye Asura Vamsha Asan Te eva Rajanas Tesham. You hear this. Asura Vamsha, the kings, the unbelieving kings, arranged by atheistic kings. So Srila Jiva Goswami says that these were previously in the Vamshas of the Asuras, and they were now kings. There's a variant reading there. Instead of Asura Vamsha, there is Asura Vesha. So now there's an alternate reading there. Asura Vesha. Pathantre Asura Vesha, Asura Bhavam Pravishta, which refers to kings who are overcome by the Asuric attitude. Asura Vesha Rajya. The Asuras want to enjoy a life of sense gratification even at the cost of others' happiness. It is also an Asuric mentality that let me be happy now. Even if I have to be unhappy later on, that doesn't matter, but my immediate happiness is what is most important, even for me. These are all typical Asuric attitudes. In order to fulfill this ambition, the Asuras, especially atheistic kings or state executive heads, try to equip themselves with all kinds of deadly weapons to bring about a war in a peaceful society. They have no ambition other than personal aggrandizement, and thus Mother Earth feels overburdened by such undue increases of military strength. By the increase of the Asuric population, religious principles are hampered, with the result that all the people of the world, especially the devotees or devas, become unhappy to see the anomalies of the Asuric civilization of self-aggrandizement. In such a situation, the personality of God incarnates to vanquish the unwanted Asuras and to re-establish the true principles of religion. This was the mission of Lord Sri Krishna, and he fulfilled it. 25. Kava saheta viraham purushottamasya prema valoka ruchirasmita valgu jalpai Sthiryam samanam naharan mathumanini nam romotsavo mama yadangri vittankitaya. Who therefore, who, ka, means which woman. So who here means which, she is talking about the woman, which woman. Therefore can tolerate the pangs of separation from that Supreme Personality of Godhead. He could conquer the gravity and passionate wrath of his sweethearts like Satyabhama by his sweet smile of love, pleasing glance, and hearty appeals. When he traversed my earth's surface, I would be immersed in the dust of his lotus feet, and they would be sumptuously covered with grass, which appeared like hair standing on me out of pleasure. तेन तस्य सर्वास्वपि प्रेयसीषु मध्ये अहं सदैव स्वाधीनवर्त्रिका विरह रहिता एव आसम् इति भावः. Amongst the Lord's many beloved wives, I was constantly having him under my control, and I was never devoid of his company. That is implied here. There were chances of separation between the Lord and his thousands of queens because of the Lord's being absent from home. But as far as his connection with earth was concerned, the Lord would traverse the earth with his lotus feet, and therefore there was no chance of separation. When the Lord left the surface of the earth to return to his spiritual abode, the earth's feelings of separation was therefore more acute. 56. Tayorevam kathayato prithvi dharmayostada parikshinnama rajashih praptah prachim saraswatim. While the earth and the personality of religion were thus engaged in conversation, the saintly King Parikshit reached the shore of the Saraswati river, which flowed towards the east. Kurukshetra, at Kurukshetra. So that means Saraswati was flowing by Kurukshetra at one point, from the west to the east. Chapter 17. Punishment and reward of Kali. Suto Vacha. Tatra go mithunam raja hanyamanam anathavat dandahastam cha vrishalam dadrishe nirpalanchanam. Suta Goswami said, after reaching that place, Maharaj Parikshit observed that a lower caste Shudra dressed like a king was beating a cow and a bull with a club as if they had no owner. Tata sapta dashe ragyah kale nigraha uchyate tasyavam virya bhajopi vairagyam vaktum adbhutam. So in chapter 17, the subdual of Kali by the king is described. Even though he had such prowess, he also had vairagya, the ability to be detached from and renounce all of this to an astonishing degree. This description is given in order to point out about the astonishing vairagya of the king. Parikshit dharmayo proktam ukti pratyukti kautukam nigrahanugrahau rajya kale sapta dashe tataha. Now we'll come across the conversation between Parikshit and Dharma. A very interesting conversation. And then the king's nigraha and anugraha of Kali will be described in this 17th chapter. Nigraha is restraint. Anugraha means blessing. But in Arthashastra, nigraha and anugraha have a particular meaning. It refers to punishment and reward. Governance happens through this. This is what Kshatriyas are supposed to do. They need to, first of all, have the power to be able to punish or reward. If they don't have that, then they're useless in administration. Nirpala Anchana, dressed like a king. Dressed like a king. This indicates that he had broken the rules that were followed in Satya, Treta, Dwapara, and so on. Prashnottarani Chitrani Parikshit Dharmayor Dvayo. Very interesting, wonderful question and answers between Parikshit and Dharma. The principal sign of the age of Kali is that lower caste Shudras, that is men without Brahmanical culture and spiritual initiation, will be dressed like administrators or kings. And the principal business of such non-Kshatriya rulers will be to kill the innocent animals, especially the cows and the bulls, who shall be unprotected by their masters, the bona fide Vaishyas, the mercantile community. In the Bhagavad Gita 18.44, it is said that the Vaishyas are meant to deal in agriculture, cow protection, and trade. In the age of Kali, the degraded Vaishyas, the mercantile men, engage in supplying cows and bulls to the slaughterhouse instead of protecting them. The Kshatriyas are meant to protect the citizens of the state, whereas the Vaishyas are meant to protect the cows and bulls and utilize them to produce milk and grain. The cow is meant to deliver milk and the bull is meant to produce grain. Thus, the cow and bull are the mother and father of human beings. The mother and father must be given all protection and are not to be killed. And I will say, one should take care of one's parents. A man is responsible to take care of his parents. Unless there are special circumstances which prevent him from practicing Krishna consciousness itself. But in the age of Kali, the Shudra class of men are in the posts of administrators, and the cows and bulls, or the mothers and the fathers, unprotected by the Vaishyas, are subjected to the slaughterhouses organized by the Shudra administrators. And one who chants the holy name of the Lord in an offenseless manner can at once realize that the Lord is present before him. Question mark. Why that's a question mark there? What is here? The Lord is present before him. Does it mean he is physically present? It means that he realizes the presence of the Supreme Lord. All of this comes in Madhurya Kadambini. 2. Vrisham Mrinala Dhavalam Mehantam Ivu Bibhyatam Vepamanam Padekena Sidantam Shudra Taditam. The bull was as white as a white lotus flower. He was terrified of the Shudra who was beating him, and he was so afraid that he was standing on one leg, trembling and urinating. The indication is that Dharma was becoming weaker and weaker. Vepamana, trembling, that indicates that even that performance of Dharma that is found in Kali Yuga will be incomplete and be disturbed with various obstacles by Kali. This is indicated here. Valadev Vidyabhushan has given a fine explanation here. First of all, the bull was passing urine. Even though he was trying to stand on one leg. This is an indication that Dharma at every moment will perish, will be reduced. Vepamanam iti tadrishasyavi pratyuhaihi kalikritair anishpatir yajyate. The trembling is an indication that Dharma will not be completely accomplished. There are so many hundreds of rules in Vedic Dharma. But Kali will produce so many obstacles because of which people will not be able to, dharmic people, those who want to become dharmic, will be unable to completely follow these rules also. Dharma duham, avirdogdrim, satyadi prasav virahad, vivatsam. It's coming. Here's given further explanation in the next verse also. The next symptom of the age of Kali is that the principles of religion, which are all spotlessly white like the white lotus flower, will be attacked by the uncultured Shudra population of the age. They may be descendants of Brahmana or Kshatriya forefathers, but in the age of Kali, for want of sufficient education and culture of Vedic wisdom, such a Shudra-like population will defy the principles of religion, and persons who are religiously endowed will be terrified by such men. They will declare themselves as adherents of no religious principles, and many isms and cults will spring up in Kali Yuga only to kill the spotless bull of religion. The state will be declared to be secular or without any particular principle of religion, and as a result, there will be total indifference to the principles of religion. In other words, there will be total indifference to the common principles of all religious systems. Satyam, Shaucham, Tapa, Daya. Following this, people will not be rewarded, and breaking this, people will not be punished. To a very meager extent, there is a superficial show of keeping law and order. The citizens will be free to act as they like without respect for Sadhu, Shastra, and Guru. That the bull was standing on one leg indicates that the principles of religion are gradually diminishing. Even the fragmental existence of religious principles will be embarrassed by so many obstacles, as if in the trembling condition of falling down at any time. The trembling of the bull is an indication of that. 3. Gamcha dharma dukham, dinam, bhrisham, shudra padahatam, Vatsam, Ashru Vadanam, Shamam, Yavasamikshatim. Although the cow is beneficial because one can draw religious principles from her, she was now rendered poor and calfless. Her legs were being beaten by a Shudra. There were tears in her eyes and she was distressed and weak. She was hankering after some grass in the field. She was crying because Dharma was perishing. She was weak because yajnas were not being performed. Hankering after some grass refers to the sacrificial remnants. Nothing, they don't perform these sacrifices, so you don't get sacrificial remnants also. The next symptom of the age of Kali is a distressed condition of the cow. Milking the cow means drawing the principles of religion in a liquid form. The great rishis and munis would live only on milk, and Srila Shukadeva Goswami would go to a householder while he was milking a cow, and he would simply take a little quantity of it for subsistence. Even 50 years ago, no one would deprive a sadhu of a quart or two of milk, and every householder would give milk like water. Written in the early 60s, this is the third volume of Srimad Bhagavatam. Yesterday, I was just looking at the Delhi edition, original editions. 1965, it looks like this was printed. So 50 years ago means 1911, 1915, like that. It is the duty of every householder who's a Sanatanist, a follower of Vedic principles, to have cows and bulls as household paraphernalia, not only for drinking milk, but also for deriving religious principles. The Sanatanist worships cows on religious principles and respects Brahmanas. The cow's milk is required. for the sacrificial fire. And by performing sacrifices, the householder can be happy. Not only is the cow with the calf beautiful to look at, but the calf also gives satisfaction to the cow, and so she happily delivers as much milk as possible. But in the Kali Yuga, the cows are separated from the cows as early as possible for purposes which may not be mentioned in these pages of Srimad Bhagavatam. The cow stands with tears in her eyes. The Shudra milkman draws milk from the cow artificially, and when there is no milk, the cow is sent to be slaughtered. These greatly sinful acts are responsible for all the troubles in present society. People do not know what they are doing in the name of economic development. The influence of Kali will keep them in the darkness of ignorance. Despite all endeavors for peace and prosperity, the people will fail to achieve them unless they try to see that the cows and bulls are happy in all respects.
Hare Krishna, Prabhu. Prabhu, in a nutshell, if someone asks, why is cow so important? So this is one point, that her milk is so important for us if we want to develop spiritually.
Every product of a cow is useful for human society.
But is it not selfishness?
What is selfishness? She is designed to help human beings. If she needs to be taken care of. Just as why is a mother respected? Why is a mother respected in not just in Hindu culture, not just in religious cultures, even otherwise? Why is a mother respected? Because a mother is selflessly giving herself. We are talking of those kinds of mothers. We are not talking of asuric women who happen to have children. We are not talking of that. So like that, cow is as important as a mother. And a cow means not only this deshi cow. A cow is a cow. Prabhupada dealt with the cows in the West also as cows only. And he wanted them to also not be sent to the slaughterhouse. He wanted the devotees to drink the milk from those cows. He did not say that we should make some arrangement to get cows from, get milk from the cows of India because they are the real cows. Or that we should get the real cows, increase their population, send them throughout the world to all these corn centers. No such thing like that. A cow is a cow. This is a very important principle. Foolish people do not know. Despite all endeavors for peace and prosperity, the people will fail to achieve them unless they try to see that the cows and bulls are happy in all respects. Foolish people do not know how one earns happiness by making the cows and bulls happy, but it is a fact by the law of nature. Let us take it from the authority of Srimad Bhagavatam and adopt the principles for the total happiness of humanity. I thought there was a question. What is this? It is the duty of every householder who is a Sanatanist, a follower of Vedic principles, to have cows and bulls as household paraphernalia. This is for everyone or only for Shudras? First of all, are Shudras, do Shudras keep cows? I even have my doubts about whether they're allowed to keep cows. Cows are protected by Vaishyas.
I'm sorry, Vaishyas.
Vaishyas and higher-ups. Yeah, you need to protect the cows and the bulls. Give them enough land. Keep them happy, auspicious. Even in the 64 items of devotion service, there's one principle that we should be respectful to the cows. We should honor the cows. That is also there. Okay. We'll close it with that. Paritanam Bhavanebhyo Vaishnavibhyo Namo Namaha.